For decades, India followed a simple nuclear rule: have the bomb, but don't keep your finger on the trigger. Nuclear warheads were stored separately, missiles were stored separately, aircraft were stored separately. The message was clear: India possessed nuclear weapons, but will not be the country that rushed to use them. Now, a global think tank says that may have changed. India may have quietly deployed 12 nuclear warheads on launch platforms. Not stored, not separated, deployed, ready, possibly including missiles aboard a nuclear submarine somewhere under the waters of the Bay of Bengal. If true, this would be one of the biggest shifts in India's nuclear posture since the country became a nuclear weapons state. So what changed? Why is India doing this now? Where are these weapons? And is this really about Pakistan anymore, or is the real target China? The claim comes from SIPRI, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, one of the world's most respected organizations tracking nuclear arsenals and military capabilities. In its 2026 yearbook, SIPRI estimates that India's nuclear stockpile has grown from around 180 warheads to approximately 190, and that alone is noteworthy. But the bigger revelation is this: SIPRI believes India may have begun deploying some nuclear warheads on delivery systems during peacetime. That sounds technical, but it changes everything. A deployed nuclear weapon means the warhead is already mated to a missile or a launcher. It can be fired quickly if needed. And the number grabbing attention is 12. 12 nuclear warheads that may already be deployed. Last year, SIPRI's estimate was 0. 0 were deployed last year and 12 now. The timing is not accidental. Look at what happened over the last 2 years, really. Operation Sindoor, the India-Pakistan military confrontation, cross-border strikes, escalation unlike anything seen in recent years. What made it different was not simply the fighting, it was the targets. India reportedly struck military facilities deep inside Pakistan, including locations that analysts believe may have been linked to strategic nuclear assets. For decades, Pakistan's nuclear arsenal acted as a shield. Operation Sindoor challenged that assumption. India demonstrated a willingness to raise the threshold, a signal that nuclear blackmail would not prevent conventional retaliation. But there was another lesson, and it came from Beijing. The conflict highlighted just how closely China and Pakistan coordinate. From intelligence support to military cooperation, Indian planners have long worried about a two-front scenario, a crisis involving both Pakistan and China in the west and the north respectively. What was once a theoretical concern now looks like a strategic reality, and that changes deterrence calculations. So where are these deployed warheads? The answer may lie underwater. SIPRI believes India may have deployed a small number of nuclear warheads aboard a single ballistic missile submarine, an SSBN. This is the most survivable part of any nuclear force. Why? Because submarines are increasingly and incredibly difficult to find. You can destroy missile bases, you can target airfields, but a submarine hiding in the ocean is really another story. India currently has 3 nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines: INS Arihant, INS Arighat, and INS Aridman, reportedly commissioned earlier this year. Together, they form the sea-based leg of India's nuclear triad. And that triad is crucial: air, land, and sea. 3 different ways to launch nuclear weapons. If one leg is destroyed, the other survives. That guarantees a second strike. And in nuclear strategy, second strike capability is everything, because it tells your adversary you may hit first, but you will not escape retaliation. Now comes the fascinating part. India isn't just building submarines, it is building an entire ecosystem around them. Near Rambili on Andhra Pradesh's coast sits one of India's most secretive defense projects, INS Varsha, a dedicated nuclear submarine base. Reports suggest that the facility includes underground tunnels carved into a mountain. Submarines can enter and leave without exposing themselves to surveillance satellites. Think about that, a nuclear submarine that can leave port, disappear beneath the ocean, and remain undetected for months on end. Now, that is exactly what every major nuclear power wants, because an invisible submarine carrying nuclear missiles is the ultimate insurance policy. For years, India's nuclear force, the arsenal, was designed primarily around Pakistan. Not anymore. The arsenal is evolving. The Agni series continues expanding. The Agni 5 now possesses MIRV capability. That means that a single missile can carry multiple warheads capable of striking different targets. At sea, India continues developing longer-range submarine-launched ballistic missiles. On land, Agni P and Agni 6 are under development. In the air, Mirage 2000s, Jaguars, and potentially other platforms maintain the airborne nuclear role. Taken together, India is moving from a basic deterrent to a far more sophisticated strategic force and far more capable than before. Now for the uncomfortable question, who are India's nuclear weapons aimed at? Officially, nobody. India maintains its no first use doctrine. That policy remains unchanged. India says it will not initiate a nuclear attack, but deterrence requires potential targets, and geography tells the story. Pakistan is fully covered by India's existing missile inventory. It has been for years. The real challenge lies farther north. China. India's newer missile programs increasingly focus on longer ranges. The Agni 5 can, for instance, reach targets across China. Future systems could go even further. SIPRI's assessment is blunt. India's nuclear modernization increasingly reflects the need to deter China while maintaining coverage of Pakistan. In other words, Pakistan remains part of the equation, but China is increasingly shaping the calculations. So let's return to those 12 warheads. 12 deployed warheads makes headlines. But the real story is not the number, the real story is what the number represents. A transition, a maturation, a shift from possessing nuclear weapons to ensuring that they can survive any attack. If SIPRI is correct, India has begun taking the final steps towards a fully operational, continuously available nuclear deterrent. Not because it wants to fight a nuclear war, but because it wants to make one impossible. Somewhere beneath the waters of the Indian Ocean, a submarine may already be carrying that message. Silent, invisible, and impossible to ignore. This is Times Axis, where global stories meet India's perspective. Click on the bell icon to subscribe, because the next big global shift will have India at its center.